So we keep going, hobbling along, not singing any songs. And this is where I realized that there's actually gonna be the fucking market on where we're heading to. So this is about to get really intense, anxiety-wise. Oh, friends, why do you do this to us? Oh, God. So I make it, oh shit. So we make it up to this square. Let's just get through here first. Oh, Jesus Christ. So yeah, I make it through this square. And I might just take a quick little break here. This bit we're gonna sort of race through a little bit. So I came across this park and in the summer this place is absolutely trashed. There is shit everywhere. And so I'm coming across this field and there's a few people left over from the partying the night before, and I'm talking about to myself, you know, how look at what we do to the little bits of nature that we have in this city. Yeah, well, and I came through this area and there was all these people sitting around this you would think it's a fountain, but it's not a fountain. It's a nothing place. Bit of, and I mean, in the middle of summer, there was no water, there was no nothing, so it's just people sitting around a concrete block, like that's just hot, and you're just like, whoa, what is going on? And this makes no sense to me. I'm just like city people or whatever. And I actually spent a bit of time in this kids park, but I'm not about to stand by a kids park filming as I approach the age of 40. This is things that you just don't do without getting arrested. So still hobbling along, sweating, dehydrated, exhausted. I actually went in, there's like this drinking fountain there, so I had a little sip of water, and then gotta get through the people here. Shit. Straight through. Oh. And went to this ice cream store over here. Now I actually know or knew the person that ran this store. I'd met him a couple of times, knew his name, and I actually sold him some festival tickets, right, that he still owed me the money for. And he didn't actually want to pay because he only went one day and it was raining, so he decided to come home. So as far as his theory was that he didn't need to pay. So, you know, that's why I say new, because I don't really want to have someone like that in my life. And he was actually there. Normally he's not there. He owns a soup restaurant around the corner that caught fire, and he got a lot of money from this and was able to get this place, and also has a thing with whatever. And so anyway, he's threatening to call the police, and I'm saying, call the police, we'll get this sorted, you're the one that owes me money. And then he leaves the shop and leaves me there with this young girl. What kind of douchebag leaves his young, unskilled employee with a guy he's been threatening to call the police on? Makes no sense to me. But I sensed her uncomfortableness, and that concerned me, so I left. And I went this way for a bit, and there was a guy that had like a car that was both natural gas and electric, and that was interesting to me. And then I ended up coming back, and so I went back into the park here, and I went back into the kids area, and I sat down on the kids area, you know, and this kid came over and was playing games with me with sand and stuff, and I was talking to them, and at the same time I was lying on the ground and talking to the sun and staring into the sun for like half an hour, straight into the sun, under these trees here, staring straight into the sun. Now I was also hugging this tree here because this rubbish bin was just overflowing with rubbish. There was only one rubbish bin at this point. And then I was here, and I was trying to ask people that were passing by if they would buy me an ice cream. And then this guy came, obviously gay guy with his little dogs, you know, smiling at me. And I was like, ah, cool, okay, so nice gay guy, he'll buy me some ice cream. And so I get his attention, and he's all eager to get my attention. And then he realizes that all I want is an ice cream. I don't want anything but an ice cream. And he's like, no. And so then I left there. I came back into the... Hello. Dankeschön. And I came back through here, and there was a group of people sitting here, and there was actually a guy I recognized, but he actually denied knowing me, so that's kind of funny. But I'd actually seen him like 2 months earlier, and I was hobbling around with one plastic cup, picking up trash and putting it into the plastic cup, and these people were saying that I should stop doing that, it's not my job. And I was like, well, we're the ones that created it, we're the ones that should be cleaning up. And they tried to deny the fact that they should be cleaning up, that it's someone else's job, and yeah, this is a city, this is what happens, and I mean, it's fine, but I didn't have any of it. So hobbling along, picking up stuff, and I make it back out of the park. I went to this corner down here, which has got all the food vendors and stuff on at the moment, so I can't really go there. And I put my rubbish that I'd collected from here into the bin. Yeah. So now, I should say that when I say I was communicating with the sun, I literally mean I was communicating with the sun. The sun was talking back to me, she, was talking back to me, and it's very involved, very in-depth, and I can't really go into it because it's very personal and it involves other personal relationships from people that actually exist. And I would be happy to share my side, but it doesn't make any sense without the other person's side, and I am not willing to share that. Oh, intensity. Okay, so there is this classic ice cream restaurant down here, ice cream shop down here. So I hobbled on down. This was literally now the middle of the day, and they weren't actually open. But their side door was open, so I went around and just asked if I could have some water while I waited for them to open. And I got some water and I sat down, and there was another woman that was waiting for the shop to open. And so I was sitting on a little child stool here, and she was sitting on the bank. And we were having a conversation, and I was talking and then not talking, but still talking inside my mind. And she was pretending she was understanding me. But at the time, I didn't know she was pretending. And I literally thought that she could read my thoughts as I was talking, as long as I decided which parts to fill in and which parts not to. But of course, that's not the case. She was just being this social thing of, oh yeah, until it got too weird for her and she just up and left. The shop now was meant to actually be open for 15 minutes, but they obviously decided that they didn't want to serve me, so they just stayed closed. And then there is this restaurant here, and this is how you know that the universe is a really weird thing. Because what should be sitting there but two identical twins? Like, really, two identical twins, both with dreadlocks, both with glasses, both with beards, a little bit hippie-like, smoking joints, and one is obviously telling a story to the other. And he's telling the story about how someone is verbally abusing him. And I see this as one person who's been split in two, and one is the ego and the other is the being, you know, and this is the ego assaulting the being. And so I hop on over and I'm like, whoa, 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 you know, and I've decided that now I can join them together. And so I get them to like shake hands that way and shake hands that way, both at the same time, and look each other in the eye and then blink. And they actually did it, which was kind of nice. When they were laughing, they thought it was quite amusing. But then it was very disturbing for me that they didn't form then one person. Because that's what was supposed to happen, and that didn't happen, and that didn't make any sense. And then that really sent me off in a bad way. So I left. And I head down this way. Again, hobbling on one fucking leg with one crutch. But at least now I've had some cold water, but still no ice cream. And I don't know what to do. Because there wasn't all these vegan ice cream places at the time. That was the only place I knew that I could get some vegan ice cream. And as so anyway, I come back down here and I think about going back to Ostwald's. I think there might be an ice cream shop that has some vegan chocolate ice cream. Because, yeah, I need a vegan chocolate ice cream. And I actually went across this street and I went into this park because there's this funny fountain here which I think is not actually running at the moment. Yeah. But what's funny is that, like, I'll wait to get past these people. Yeah. What's funny about this fountain is that the water comes out of here, goes up and sprays against the wall. So it's basically like an artist impression of people pissing on the walls, which is something that happens quite a lot in Berlin because they have hardly any public toilets. And so I came here and I talked to how stupid, to anyone, like to everyone and no one, how stupid this representation is of pissing on the wall in Berlin and that it costs money and blah, 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 this isn't real art or whatever, I don't even know what. And then as I'm coming down here, I decide I'm going to cross the road. Right where this construction work is. And as I'm crossing the road, I checked for cars and there was nothing coming. It's quite busy, this section sometimes. And as I'm crossing the road, a taxi is coming out from this. Let me stop for a second. As I'm coming across this road, I get just before the side, there's a taxi coming out of this street here, and he's looking back this way, and he doesn't see me, so I have to literally yell for him to see me, and then he just toots his horn at me. And right at this point is when someone I know is riding down this street, and so he stops, and then he comes to talk with me, and we sit there, and again, I can't go into detail because that is a story that involves someone else directly, and out of respect to them, I don't think I should talk about what we spoke about. But he told me that I had to go home. And again, this upset me because it's like, home is where I am completely alone and I'm completely vulnerable and I'm on the 9th floor and I just want to die. I just really want to chuck myself out the window, but not die in the sense of like, to me that's going to be a good thing and no one will understand why I did it. And so this is scaring me, that no one would understand it. And so I say, yeah, I'll wait there for him to go get his car and come back to get me. He was on his bike. But I just waited for him to leave, and then I talked to the son and convinced myself that he wasn't actually trying to help me. He was going to do something to me when he comes back to get me, so I should leave. This building didn't exist. This whole area didn't exist. But I hobbled down this way. And then I remembered that this is where a tattoo artist and friend lived who was going to do some work on me. And so I randomly walked up to a door and knocked on the door and came inside. And at this point, what was happening in my mind, like they were building this building, it was mega construction work going all the time. And it was super loud, and she lived right in the middle of it. And to me, this was a communication. The car noise, the construction noise, every tooting of the horn, every single noise of the city was a communication. And I somehow understood it. And we did some meditating and some talking, and she let me have a shower there because I realized that I stunk. But I was obviously not stable. And this was obviously, it was like she was never in danger at all. But she wasn't 100% sure of that, which I can understand. And she ends up calling some people who have been actually up all night. And one of them comes around on a scooter who I also have a history with. And he's trying to interact with me, treating me like a child, and not handling the situation very well. And I was reacting poorly as well. So I basically leave here and hobble back out onto the street. Again, here we go, back out into the public. As soon as I come onto the street, there's like a homeless guy asking me where he can bring all his bottles to exchange for money. And so I managed to give him directions, which I realized was incredibly difficult for me, and I was really concerned about why this was so hard. I was really disorientated. Every time I thought I knew where something was, I would second guess myself. But I gave him the directions, and I walked with him for a bit and then sent him on his way. And then I hobbled further. And then as I crossed this street, there was a woman with her daughter, young daughter. And this is the big difference between people that live in Berlin and people that live in other cities, is that she wanted her daughter to communicate with me. She was encouraging us to interact with each other as we walked down the street. I can only assume that she was trying to teach her a life lesson about how people aren't always what they seem, and people who can be crazy can still be nice. And it was really a beautiful thing. And we walked together and talked together in German and English and Denglish, and every time I wasn't making proper sense, she would question what I was saying and I could clarify. And it was one of the most engaging experiences.